have today a privilege of speaking to the ATM, African Transformation Movement. We were scheduled to speak to the president of ATM, Vuyeritu Zungula, but is currently engaged in other engagements. But we still have the privilege of speaking to the national spokesperson of the ATM, Mr. Zama Ntshona, who will be taking us through some of these discussions that we'll be having with the ATM. Topical issues happening in South Africa currently. One being that the current mayor of the Johannesburg Metro, Dada Morero, has raised many eyebrows throughout the country. He being the mayor of Johannesburg, but throughout the country, people are talking about this. The suggestion coming from him that the Johannesburg Metro Police should enroll into their employ people who have, qualifications and have got the papers, like the correct papers, but being foreign nationals, being recruited into the police service of Johannesburg in order to be able to deal with the problems such as the language barriers that they have there as the police, because they'd be arresting people. Now they do not have the ability to communicate with these people because they speak languages which are not South African languages, and they don't have people in their employ who can speak these languages. Now, that suggestion has been met with many rejections, and one of the political parties that has voiced their disquiet around this is the ATM. Mr. Ntshona, are you able to tell us what is your guys' perspective around what Dada Morero has said around this? What is your guys' view around these issues?
Thank you so much. Let me take this time to greet everyone on the platform today. Well, as the African Transformation Movement, when we look at this matter, we see it as of great concern because, South Africa is currently grey listed. And we are grey listed because of activities that are happening within the country, where we have seen money amounting to 6.3 billion taken out of the country through 57,000 SIM cards to countries like Kenya, Bangladesh, Nigeria, to name but a few, that are said or seen and viewed by the international community as money that is actually directed to contributions towards terrorist groups. And this has resulted in us being grey listed. But not only that, we have in our presence an unprecedented interest of people from all around the world who want to come to South Africa for one reason and the other, to an extent that we have over 5 million undocumented immigrants that are here in the country. And that should be a great concern. When you look at the stats of 2023 third quarter on abductions, you are looking at about 4,500 roughly abductions that happen in a particular quarter, and we seem not to be able to pinpoint exactly where these are coming from. Not only that, we have had the Libyan issue recently where 95 Libyans were trained in the country, and there was a whole lot of talk around issues of how they obtained their visas and all of that. And the latest story, the issue of the aspirant Miss South Africa, Ntshona, who we know that the mother many years ago actually took, as according to the reports that we're getting from the Home Affairs, took identities of an identity of a South African. And it is known not to be an isolated matter. So this means there's a whole lot of interest in South Africa, and the issue of security is very important. Now, pivotal and central to this issue of security, you would have to speak to the issue of who a particular foreign national would have allegiance to between the country that he or she is working for and the country of birth. if there was a choice between the two now, when you place foreign nationals in a place where we do not only train them, but we arm them, when they have to choose and make a decision between an instruction of their country of birth and the instruction of South Africa, who are they going to choose? Now, we feel that it is too risky to arm and to train individuals who are not of South African origin, that they protect even the most senior within our society. It is too much of a risk to take, and therefore we must ensure that we actually don't do that. But if he is saying he's looking for interpreters, then that's a different story. But he's not talking about people you can bring in, interpret and go, but he wants to bring them and be part of the armed forces of the country, then we say no to that.
But what is the intervening argument, like from your side, in terms of this language barrier issue? How do we address it?
Well, we have seen with many instances. In football, there would be an interpreter that understands the language of origin of that individual. That individual does not have to be part of the armed forces of the country. In fact, they don't even go near a battlefield. They do not even carry a gun. Those individuals they deal with issues of linguistics, and it ends there. Where we are not in agreement is a question of now finding these individuals within the security agencies of the country. Then that's where we have a problem. We do not believe that an individual who is not of South African origin must be given training to be equipped to actually be of the same par with the security personnel that we have. And not only that, because the issue of security does not only go with training alone, it goes with intelligence as well. Now you will be exposed to secrets of this country, and with those secrets, what are you going to do? Between your country of birth and your country that you are working with, who are you going to choose? So this is the high risk that we are saying. It opens a room for things like infiltration that could happen in the country, because the allegiance of those who are within our security clusters could be elsewhere.
Now, the mayor has since withdrawn that proposal that he had, and he has been rejected not just by yourselves, but also the provincial chairperson of the ANC in the province of Gauteng has also rejected that proposal. But now let's move on to the recent submission by ATM in Parliament that there needs to be a parliamentary inquiry into the alleged rand manipulation by both the local and international banks. What has prompted your parties, to take a step into this investigation, and what outcomes are you hoping to achieve through the inquiry?
Thank you so much. Well, number one, this phenomenon has proven to be more than just an allegation, because when you look at some of these companies, they are already, as we speak, fined internationally billions of rands for partaking in this. That's number one. Number two, this also came to our attention as South Africans when one of the banks was seeking amnesty. They wanted to, we would say, 10 state witness, hoping that by doing that, they would get a lesser sentence, so to speak. So there was admission of guilt by one of the participants. So, which means that there was a concerted effort to actually undermine the South African currency. But not only that, this also has far-reaching consequences. Now, these far-reaching consequences would include that if maybe in this case, you were to devalue the rand, make the rand to be weaker. Now, the rate at which we purchase goods and services is going to go up. And when it goes up, it is going to have a ripple effect on the whole value chain. Let's talk about oil, for instance. If you weaken the rand and we buy a barrel of oil at twice or thrice the initial value, then that means that the cost of transportation is going to go up. And then this will also mean that the cost of manufacturing is going to go up. And when that goes up, the price of goods and services will also go up. Now, when those things come into play, they will then affect the way companies work, because also you would have to take into cognizance that particular issue, which is important as well, that companies would have to deal with the disruption to a state of equilibrium. And that disruption, you would have to find a way to bring your business back to equilibrium because of the unexpected occurrence. And when that happens, you would have to lay off people. So the African Transformation Movement, looking at the ripple effect of such occurrences, and the last one being the inadequacy of legislation to deal with people when they've actually embarked on such. Because when the Competition Commission is actually dismissed on this matter by saying we do not have jurisdiction over those particular banks, and then which means that we cannot prosecute them because it is regarded as overreach, or we do not have the powers. This now speaks to legislative inefficiencies, or the drafters of those particular laws could not foresee a time when the private sector will collude like the private sector had actually done in the rand manipulation, in the bread situation, and in the cement situation. So for us as the African Transformation Movement, we're saying the disruption of the lives of the masses for the benefit of a few selected individuals who in their absoluteness have seen it fit to enrich themselves must come to an end. And one of the ways of doing that is to open this inquiry so that we get to understand the extent of the problem, but not only that, we are able to say, where are the challenges that we have in terms of law, and how do we as lawmakers in the country create laws to such an extent that those laws would prohibit in the future such occurrences from taking place.
Now, given the recent dismissal of the Competition Commission's case against these banks, how confident are you that this inquiry will uncover new evidence or lead to different results?
We are sure that these will lead to a different result, because the scope is not only limited to the rand manipulation, but the rand manipulation would actually be a case study, so to speak, because of those issues that also include legislative inadequacies, which say we do not have the jurisdiction over this, and those do not change the fact that all these violations have occurred. The fact that you are not empowered to deal with them do not nullify the ripple effects that was caused by them. It is what we want to fix as the African Transformation Movement. We can't have laws with no teeth. We can have institutions that cannot actually fully advocate on our behalf. So it is from that perspective that we feel that this inquiry would actually open a way where we would be able, as the South African legislators and parliament, to be able to deal with the challenges that are faced with some of the shenanigans that are actually done by the private sector, hoping that they are actually living outside the law. We must correct that. All of us must be law-abiding citizens of this country, and we must never elevate self-enrichment over public good. All right, I missed you there a moment. Can kindly give me. We seem to have an audio challenge.
Oh, Let me
Yes, yes,
rephrase
welcome.
this question. Can you hear me now? Yeah,
Yes, yes.
I was saying, finally, and in conclusion, what message would you like to send to South Africans as ATM continues to challenge these significant national issues?
Thank you so much. For us as the African Transformation Movement, I would like to say to South Africans that we are not going to overlook any issue. It is important that we deal with these issues comprehensively, because this issue for example, if you say you have changed it, when you look going down the value chain, you will see that it was not a single person who was affected. Some people lost their jobs. Some people lost properties. People closed, their businesses closed down, because now suddenly the rate at which you were required to produce went up drastically, because some people thought it prudent for them to actually fix prices for their benefit. It can't happen. South Africans are not going to suffer on our watch. So as the African Transformation Movement, we remain committed to the cause of ensuring that every South African gets a fair chance, and liberation shall be actually realized in our lifetime.
Zama Ntshona, the national spokesperson of the ATM, thank you very much for your time, and we hope that you guys succeed for the benefit of South Africans in these endeavors that you're undertaking.
Thank you so much to you and our viewers.
Thank you very much. We'll be back with another one in about a minute from now. Thank you.